fight like a roaring fight, crypto and dreams under stadium lights, sweat and fire, hearts ignite. Evening sports buffet, with the games we play. Highlights, wild scores collide, it's the riot live tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another
rivals clash, it's a heavyweight thing. Every second pounding can't
I am Stick
wait.
Jim.
Evening sports buffet.
Welcome to the Balmy Northeast, by the way. Let me just suggest a little screen.
Highlights, wild scores collide, it's the riot live tonight.
Jeff WALD, hopefully,
Bulls
will
on the
be joining
jump,
me
we're
at
slaying
7:30.
rivals clash, it's a
He covers
heavyweight
all
thing.
things Minnesota
Every
sports.
second pounding can't
Thank you
wait.
to the evening Ginch Quartet there. He'll be joining at 7:30. We'll talk all things Minnesota sports. At Jeff WALD Fox 9 on the Twitter machine. Digital sports reporter for at Fox 9, at Fox 9 Sports, who covers the Vikings, Gophers football, and all things Minnesota sports. He's married, he's a dog owner, and he's a CrossFit enthusiast. I'll have to pick his brain about a good CrossFit routine that I can explore my fat ass. But welcome here on the Cole County Entertainment Network. 8 o'clock, go over also on the Cole County Entertainment Network. You can check out Fuji's Philly Flair. He's coming up at 8 o'clock. Always a good show. He always has a plethora of guests from around every medium. So where do we start? From some news and notes around the world of sports. Joe Burrow was a full-time participant in practice since his injury, reported by Ben Baby Espen. He's still in a 21-day window that allows him to participate without being on the active roster. They're 3-7. Chances are they're not making the playoffs. If anybody thinks they're going to go 7-0 their last 7 games or 6-1 to finish 9-8 and try and sniff a wild card, for what? Why are you bringing him back? It doesn't make any sense. And I'll say this about the Bengals: like Zach Taylor, his job's on the line, I believe. And also, what about the other cogs, the pieces of the puzzle? This franchise goes as Joe Burrow goes, and his health has been a major concern over the last 3 years. He's missed a multitude of games. When he's healthy and they have a defense, they're a threat. But he's out. He's been out. The defense sucks. Why are you going to bring him back to do further damage? He's not going to make that big of a difference. If he wants to play and they clear him to play, whatever, then it's on him. But just to bring him back for if he comes back into, he is targeting the Thanksgiving Day game or the Thanksgiving Day weekend. I don't see it. I don't see it. And then you look at the other pieces of the puzzle. Is Hendrickson going to stay there? Does Jamar Chase want to stay there? Does T. Higgins want to stay there? Again, all predicated on Joe Burrow's health. And it has been a big issue over the last 3 years. When he's healthy and they've got some semblance of a defense, they're a force. But Joe hasn't been healthy in a long time to finish the season. He was last year, but he was hurt for a little bit, came back, played lights out. Had he played the full season last year, I fully believe he would have been the MVP. And number 2, Cincinnati might have made a deep run. But what do I know? Lamar Jackson popped up on the injury report, this time with an ankle injury. I'm sure he'll be fine. Although he did throw 2 interceptions over the weekend, which wasn't good. They've got to get back to running the ball with Derrick Henry. They have to. You got to start pounding. He trains like a beast in the offseason. I know he's older, but he can still carry the load. Got to start pounding the rock. Some of these teams have to start pounding the rock. You're not going to go anywhere in January and February if you can't run the goddamn football. Anthony Circa Green checking in. I know him. Yes, Mr. Green. Checking in from wherever he is. Is he on tour? Is my man on tour? A hell of a musician, hell of a lyricist, hell of a vocalist. Go check his stuff out. He's probably on tour somewhere across this vast country of ours, in one of the states, I'm sure. Aaron Rodgers has come out and said it's going to be a safety thing with him if he plays or not. Look, if his wrist is bothering him that much and it's a safety issue, don't play him. Let that thing heal up a little bit. Slap a cat. You remember who was it way back in the day? Or the Kansas City Chiefs. This is like 30 years ago, maybe. It was like 30 years. Steve DeBerg had that big ass fucking cast on his wrist. He had the pin. I think it was his thumb, or he had a pin in. Had that thing wrapped up like it looked like a club. He still played effectively. But you don't want to rush Aaron back. And Mason Rudolph, for our English-speaking friends, Mason Rudolph did an admirable job last week. Again, the Steelers, another team, you have to pound the rock. You got Gainwell, you got Warren. I don't know what the status of Jalen Warren is. Use them, utilize them. You have them for a reason. Rob Manfred, he would be Major League Baseball's commissioner, by the way. He's addressed the next steps after the betting scandal. Supported by Jorge Castillo, Espen. Manfred, quote unquote, I think that the most important undertaking and really the bedrock of our relationship with sportsbooks is the ability to monitor betting activity. Good luck, by the way, with that. The ability to discern inappropriate patterns is really, really important. The sharks will always find a way. Cosa Nostra will always find a way. Just like with steroids and performance-enhancing drugs. They get busted for one thing, science comes up with another thing, especially masking agents. We understood the prop bet issue from the very beginning. I'm glad we've done something about it, but the rest of the program right now, I think we're generally prepared to move forward under the rules that we have now. But the NFL and all these other DraftKings, Sportbook ad, FanDuel ads, Bet Online, other stuff. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Keep an eye on this. Because it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. New York Jets, Chris Boyd is now stable. He is starting to breathe on his own. You remember on Sunday he was shot in the abdomen early Sunday morning outside a Manhattan restaurant. He was upgraded to stable condition. Police continue to search for the gunman. Thank God he's okay. He has gone through multiple procedures to have a bullet removed from his right lung. Reported by Richard Meany, Espen. I'm glad to see he's on the mend. You never want to see stuff like this. So I'm glad he will continue his recovery. Steve Sarkisian has come out and said about him leaving Texas, I'm not going anywhere. Texas has 3 losses. They lost to Ohio State in the beginning. They haven't looked right all year. They put together, I thought they were finally coming around, and then they get their ass kicked by Georgia. And I'm not, look, in the day and age of college football that we're in, and it's not college football, it's semi-pro sports. Nothing would surprise me if Texas asks him to leave or step down, or they go in a different direction. Maybe they'll go after Lane Kiffin. It's the Lane Kiffin era. I'm sure he'll be up for the Texas job, the LSU job, the Florida job, whatever job opens up. Hell, if Clemson decides to part ways with Dabo Swinney, which they won't, he has earned that right. Maybe Clemson can get into the mix. It's all hearsay. Top seeds are now set for the World Cup draw in the playoffs. As soon as it pops up here. This reported by the Associated Press. The top seeded teams for the December 5th World Cup tournament draw, including Germany, but not Croatia. They were set by FIFA today. The United States, Canada, and Mexico will be joined in the pot of number 1 seeds by top-ranked Spain, defending champions Argentina, France, England, Portugal, Brazil, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. So there you have it. And of course, anyone that watches this show, and there's Maction on tonight, by the way. It's 7. Maction, Ohio, Miami of Ohio, and Buffalo have just kicked off. Central Michigan is playing Kent. Let's jump to the association. Again, coming up at 7:30, Jeff WALD covers all things Minnesota sports. As soon as the association stuff comes up here, it's just buffering, and it's going to continue to buffer. Why? Because technology doesn't like me. That's why. Let's see if this works. And of course, now it's just messing with me, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try this again. Things will happen. Scores from yesterday in the association. It was a light slate yesterday. The Magic beat the Warriors 121-113. Golden State Warriors, your leading scorer was Stephen Curry with 34. For the Magic, your leading scorer was Desmond Bane with 23. Wendell Carter Jr. having a nice quiet season here with 12 boards. He is playing well right now for the Magic. Celtics beat the hapless Nets 113-99. For the Celtics, your leading scorer was Jaylen Brown with 29. Peyton Pritchard added 10 boards. For the Brooklyn Nets, your leading scorer would have been Michael Porter Jr. with 25. Nick Claxton added 11 rebounds. The Pistons beat the Hawks 120-112. For the Pistons, the leading scorer, Kay Cunningham with 25. He also added 10 boards. For the Hawks, your leading scorer was Jalen Johnson with 25 points. The Spurs beat the Grizzlies 111-101. For the Grizzlies, your leading scorer was Cedric Coward with 19 points. He had 11 boards. Zach Edey also added 11 boards. For the Spurs, the leading scorer was De'Aaron Fox with 26 points. Lakers over the Jazz in a barn burner, 140-126. LeBron coming back, by the way. He's ready. For Utah, leading scorer was Keontae George with 34 points. Yusuf Nurkic, 10 total rebounds. For the Lakers, Luka Doncic, 37 points and 10 assists. Suns beat the Trailblazers 127-110. For the Suns, your leading scorer was Devin Booker and Colin Gillespie with 19 points apiece. For the Trailblazers, the leading scorer was Shaedon Sharpe, 29 points. Donovan Clingan added 12 boards. In the association tonight, it's a healthy schedule. Just tipped off Rockets Cavs. Rockets up early 5-0. In the first, the Pacers up on the Hornets 15-9. First, Raptors up on the 76ers 8-7. Later on, Warriors at the Heat, the Wizards at the Timberwolves, the Nuggets at the Pelicans, Kings at the Thunder, Knicks at the Mavs, Bulls at the Blazers. If you're a betting person, Cooper Flag is set to miss his first game. He has an illness. Stephen Curry, he is out versus the Heat with ankle soreness. The Timberwolves, Mr. McDaniels, he's out Wednesday versus the Wizards. Yes, LeBron debuted last night. So all you people that Jones for LeBron James, there you go. Again, Giannis is out 1 to 2 weeks. Let me jump to the NHL. Scores from yesterday. Maple Leafs beat the Blues 3-2. The Red Wings beat the Kraken 4-2. Lightning all over the Devils 5-1. Islanders squeaked by the Stars 3-2. Jets beat the Blue Jackets 5-2. The Blackhawks, ladies and gentlemen, my team, they are 10-5-4. I hope they keep this up. This is what I've been waiting for the last 10 years. I said after they won the last Stanley Cup back in 2015, I'd be good for the next 10 years. It's been 10 years. Hopefully they have finally turned it around organizationally and team-wise. They beat the struggling Flames 5-2. Golden Knights beat the Rangers 3-2, and the Sharks beat the Mammoth 3-2. On the slate tonight, a light slate. In the first right now, Capitals are up on the Oilers 1-0. Flames are at the Sabres, Hurricanes at the Wild, and the Bruins at the Ducks. Again, coming up at 7:30, Mr. Jeff WALD. Looking over some of the headlines for the NHL. And the NHL said there's no added discipline for Stars Rantanen for boarding. If you saw the replay from yesterday, he hit Alexander Romanov up against the boards. So, no additional penalty. And this I found amusing. This is reported by Kristen Shilton, Espen. Neck guards will be mandatory for hockey at the 2026 Olympics. And if you remember, I'm just going to read verbatim here from Kristen Schulten. The decision comes in the wake of Adam Johnson's death in October 2023 after he took a skate blade to the neck from Matt Petgrave during a game in Sheffield, England. So some protection there. And I don't know why in the NFL, you remember way back, I can go back. Most everybody in the NFL, especially on the defensive side and the offensive side, they wore that the neck brace, the neck guard. So it actually had the flap in the back. And as far as like concussions go, maybe they ought to think about returning those, making those mandatory. Because if you have some sort of support in the back of your neck, it used to be like foam. Like remember in high school, it was like a foam, and then you slipped it on your shoulder pads. And if you were making a tackle, or you're getting tackled, and you went backward, and your head was going to hit that stopped it. There's some sort of cushion. So maybe the NFL should think about bringing that back. Remember, even like 20 years ago, they had that flap in the back of their head. So they had the neck guard, and then there was the flap that came up out of the. Maybe that's something that they should revisit. I was going to do student body right tonight, but I'll be producing Fuji's Billy Flair, so I have pushed that back. Let me go to college football anyway, because the College Football Playoff Committee came out with their third installment of the college football playoff. So it is as follows. Ohio State would be the #1 overall seed. Indiana would be the 2. Texas A&M would be the 3. Georgia would be the 4. Number 5. How Tulane jumped in there, I don't know. Even Tulane's coach came out and said that they don't deserve to be in the college football playoff. So there is something afoot. There's mutiny afoot. Number 6, Ole Miss would play number 11, Miami. Number 7, Oregon would play number 10, Alabama. I think that would be a bad draw for Oregon. And number 8, Oklahoma would play number 9, Notre Dame. Again, this is going to keep changing. We've got this week, we've got the Thanksgiving weekend games, and we've got the conference championship games. But I was watching some stuff. Like, let's just say, and they were bringing certain scenarios up. Let's just say you're Alabama, and you win this week, which you're going to win this week, by the way, because they play Eastern Illinois or whatever. And let's say they play Auburn. Let's just say they lose. If they lose to Auburn, that's a bad example. Let me go to Ole Miss. So let's say they win this weekend, but they still happen to lose to Michigan or Mississippi State, because they still have an outside chance to make the SEC title game. Would you want to make a conference title game? Like some of these teams. Indiana and Ohio State right now are on a collision course for the Big Ten championship. Again, Ohio State still has to play Michigan. But let's just say if Texas A&M plays Alabama in the SEC title game, and let's say Alabama loses. So if Alabama wins their last 2, Texas A&M wins their last 2, Alabama would be what, 11-1, or are they 10-2 now? Are they 10-2? No, they're 9-2. No, I don't remember. No, Alabama has 2 losses, but there's only one in conference. So let's say Texas A&M beats Alabama in the SEC championship game. Does Alabama still make the college football playoff with 3 losses? Georgia still has an outside shot of making the NCAA or the SEC title game. Again, just all like different kinds of scenarios. Remember, Georgia still has to play Georgia Tech at the end of the year. Again, this is going to constantly change over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And ESPN did their breakdown like conference to conference. But the SEC right now, the last team to be in their eyes would be Alabama. Right now, they say that Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M would be in. That's 5. They have Vanderbilt being the first team out. The Big Ten, they have Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon all in, and then USC would be the first team out in the Big Ten. The Big 12, right now, the only team that would be in would be Texas Tech. The ACC, they say Miami would be in, which kind of doesn't make sense to me because you have Georgia Tech with 1 loss. You have Virginia with 1 loss in the conference. So if Virginia plays Georgia Tech, Virginia plays Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game. Whoever wins that game, I think, would be in, and Miami would get knocked out. That's just my personal opinion. Obviously, Notre Dame's in. Group of 5 right now. Tulane's in. I don't know why. The group of 5 teams that are still in the mix: James Madison, Navy, and North Texas. I've seen North Texas play. I've seen Tulane play. I've seen Navy play, and I've seen James Madison play. And out of those 4 teams, I think North Texas is the best team out of those 4. And to be quite honest with you, right now, for me, I'd have North Texas. That's just my personal opinion. And I get it. Tulane beat Northwestern. They beat Duke. They beat Memphis. Their strength of schedule 71, 71st. JMU has the best strength of record, number 24. So we'll see. It's all a bubble, you know what, anyway. Yeah, Ohio State still has to play Michigan. Texas A&M is on a collision course with Alabama. So those rankings will change. What happens with Georgia? If Georgia wins their last 2, does the committee seat them higher? What about Texas Tech? Sitting at 5. Texas Tech goes on and wins out the rest of the year. Where would the committee rank them? I believe right now on this list, I think Texas Tech is the most dangerous team that nobody wants to play in the playoff. They have Tulane play Texas Tech right now. The way Texas Tech's playing, Tulane would get destroyed. Oklahoma and Notre Dame playoffs started today. Oklahoma, Notre Dame, that would be a toss-up for me. Ole Miss, Miami, which Miami team's going to show up? Oregon would play Alabama. I think that's a bad matchup for Alabama. Even though the game would be in Oregon, I still think it would be a bad matchup. Again, I still think on this list, Texas Tech is the most dangerous. But again, this is all going to change. It's all going to change. Again, I don't know why. I mean, yes, Miami's ranked higher than Virginia and Georgia Tech. But if Georgia Tech, that'll be interesting to see what happens with Georgia and Georgia Tech. Because every time those two teams get together, I don't care what the records are at the end of the year, there's always some sort of funky stuff going on there. And again, Indiana's going to win out. Ohio State will win this weekend. And then there's the helmet game. And the game's in Michigan. So until Ohio State can actually beat Michigan right now, you would have to say, even though Ohio State will be favored in the game, again, Ohio State has to prove it on the field. I didn't think Oklahoma had it in them. I didn't think they would go on the road back-to-back Tennessee and Alabama, but they did. Defensively, Oklahoma's stout, probably one of the best defenses in the country. Texas Tech's defense right now playing lights out, one of the best defenses in the country. Ole Miss, balanced. Miami, again, don't know which team's going to show up. Same thing with Oregon. Oregon, you never know what team's going to show up. Indiana just doing their thing. Texas A&M. If South Carolina wouldn't have snatched defeat away from victory, we might be looking at Texas A&M probably down at a 6 seed. And it looks like probably Notre Dame will win out. But again, this is all going to change week to week. Scores right now. Like I said, it's Maction week. Miami, Ohio, and Buffalo are scoreless 0-0. They're still in the first. Central Michigan is up 7-0 early. And I see him in the green room. Finally, again, let me pull it back up here because I don't want to shortchange him. It'll be Mr. Jeff WALD. At Jeff WALD, Fox 9 on the Twitter. Digital sports reporter for at Fox 9, at Fox 9 Sports. Covering the Vikings, the Golden Gophers, football, and all things Minnesota sports. Married, dog owner, CrossFit enthusiast, and he's a really tall dude. So let's bring him on now. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jeff WALD. Jeff, thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me. How's it going? It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Is it cold up there?
Not yet. They're flirting. We had in southern Minnesota. What day is it? Wednesday. Monday night we had a few snowflakes in southern Minnesota. We're not quite there yet. We usually by about this time it usually starts getting right around freezing overnight, and we start waiting for the snow to fly. I'm hoping that we hold off until after Thanksgiving myself.
So let's just jump into it here with the Vikings. I had to go look at the stats. Look, I think defensively they're okay, but offensively, look, this is essentially J.J. McCarthy's rookie season. You can just throw last year away because he was hurt, he was injured. He shows flashes sometimes, Jeff, but this team is going to go as far as J.J. McCarthy takes them. And you can see the frustration from Justin on the sideline. I'm sure there's other players are frustrated. And look, you've got Aaron Jones there. You've got Jordan Mason. I think they should utilize them a little bit more. What are you hearing? What's going on? Look, they're stuck with JJ.
100%. I mean, this season is sort of at a crossroads right now. You're 4-6 through 10 games with 7 to go. You're at Lambeau Field Sunday against your biggest rival, the Green Bay Packers. It's a game you've pretty much simply got to have if you want to have any chance of making the playoffs this year, which is weird to say with 7 games left, but that's where we are right now. The Vikings are 2-1 in the NFC North. You hit on it. The topic of conversation, as it has been all season, has been around J.J. McCarthy, the starting quarterback in his first full season after missing last year with the knee injury. Missed 5 games this year with his ankle injury after week 2 against Atlanta. I have found every excuse I can possibly come up with for him to not succeed this year, between a crappy offensive line that has not executed when he's been in there. It's the same offensive line that virtually got Carson Wentz killed and ended his season. I mean, he was a wounded duck the last time he went out there and played with a sprained AC joint, or actually a torn labrum in his shoulder and a fracture in the socket that he had to have surgery on. Last Sunday was really the first time where I questioned if J.J. McCarthy can be the franchise quarterback of this team. You look at the scheme. I mean, I don't have access to the all-22, but you look at what's been schemed. You look at the plays on the TV broadcast. Receivers were open all afternoon, and for 3 quarters he was awful. He was missing high, missing low. He was rushing throws. He didn't trust his reads. It was the first real time that I saw him lack confidence as the leader of this offense, until essentially the final drive. You got the touchdown, to your point about Jordan Mason earlier. You got the touchdown off of the big punt return with 2 Jordan Mason runs. That 16-10, you get the ball back. You're at the 15-yard line. J.J. McCarthy leads him down. I'm going to say that wasn't J.J. McCarthy. That was Nine, the alter ego. That was the competitor that won a national title at Michigan. And anybody who saw that game, you saw the touchdown to Addison that gives them the lead, and then they botch a kickoff return against the Bears to lose the game on a field goal. So you really hope, if you're a Vikings fan, that drive alone is the J.J. McCarthy that you drafted 10th overall last year, and not the guy that you've seen for the better part of the season so far. I mean, you've basically gotten that one drive, and you've got 1 quarter at Chicago, and you have the domination that he had at the Detroit Lions a few weeks ago that led them to that win. But there hasn't been enough of a sample size to prove that this guy can play at this level, which to me is really disappointing. But at the same time, he's 5 starts in. We've got to calm down. We've got to let him develop. We've got to let him fail and move on.
Why aren't they running the football more? Because they're 25th in the league in rushing.
Well, 2 parts to that. To me, I equate that to an offensive line that hasn't been consistent all season, and part of that is injuries. You've had Christian Darrisaw dealing with coming back from his knee injury. You have Ryan Kelly, who's just now coming back from injured reserve, the starting center that they spent some money on in free agency, 2 concussions in 4 games. He hasn't played since the Steelers game in Dublin, so that's 2 months now. He's just now back at practice this week. He's got a Guardian helmet, so one of those specialized helmets to try and prevent concussions. My fear there is one more and his career might be over. He won't say that publicly, but that's my fear. So you've got in his spot, you've got Blake Brandel, a backup, who's the starting center until he's back, which I have a feeling that Ryan Kelly will be back this Sunday. We don't know that for sure. He was a full participant today, which is an encouraging sign. The problem is that you've had a beat up offensive line, and you also had Aaron Jones out for over a month with a hamstring injury suffered, I believe, in the first game. So you've had to rely on a lot of backups among your front 5, and then you have to rely on Jordan Mason, who you traded for, but you can only go so far as your line takes you. If you don't win the line of scrimmage, you're not going to be able to run the ball. It's that simple.
Is it safe to say these last 7 games that the defense is going to have to win these games for them?
Yes. I mean, to put it mildly, I mean, I believe the stat I remember after Sunday's game is that the Vikings are currently minus 12 in turnover margin. And part of that is your defense isn't generating turnovers. They're not, you are getting the pass deflection here and there. They're getting some tackles for loss. They're getting a few sacks. They made Caleb Williams look pretty average, although you and I can both agree that that's not that hard to do. I don't think he's that great a quarterback. I think he's slowly getting better, but I'm still not convinced that he can be, a top tier quarterback in the NFL. But you're not generating turnovers. You're not causing fumbles. You're not picking the ball off nearly enough. To me, it starts with the front seven and really the line. You got to really create pressure and get past the offensive lines that you're facing to make quarterbacks make decisions, because the biggest way to create turnovers is to get pressure on the quarterback. And so far, that hasn't been consistent. And my biggest beef is this secondary. I mean, I'm sorry. You got Josh Metellus, who's a quality guy, a solid player. You've got Isaiah Rodgers, who is very hit and miss. Jeff Okuda has been injured, and he was an offseason acquisition. A lot of guys that they kind of took some gambles on in free agency just haven't panned out as much as they would hope. So, I mean, you really have to, when you have a quarterback like J.J. McCarthy who's struggling like he is, or at least isn't as consistent as he wants to be, your defense has to carry you. And so far, they've done enough to keep the Vikings in games, but they haven't done enough to finish the job. But you can't ask your defense to win you games every week. At some point, you have to score touchdowns on offense.
Talk to me about the special teams blunder. I was watching the end of the game. I watch all the games on the TV over here, but you battle back. It was not that great of an offensive performance. Your defense keeps you in it. You go ahead 17-16, and then you're thinking you're going to win the game, turning it over to your defense, and then the special teams has a gaffe. Tell me what happened.
So frustrating. First of all, I mean, I'm not sure why you don't just kick that ball out of the end zone to begin with. I know that's the easy thing to do, give them the ball at the 20-yard line, and let's give our defense a chance to win us the game. Kevin O'Connell made it pretty clear on his Monday after watching the tape. He always talks on Mondays for a news conference. He did say that there's a lot of guys right now on the special teams unit that are trying to make a play that's not their play to make. And I would be lying if I knew the all 22 and how that works with, with special teams. But he did say that there were two young players. He didn't name them specifically, but there were two young players that got out of their gaps on that particular kick return. And if you watch, if you watch the play, it actually is pretty well blocked. I mean, there's two guys that engage with the Vikings guys that were on that side of the field. There's a lane there. Typically, you equate a big return to maybe a missed tackle, and I didn't see that. I just saw a lane that was open because the play was well blocked. But then you have to have discipline when you're on the kick return. You have to stay in your lanes, and you have to make sure that if you get engaged, you do so that your teammate can go make a tackle. And there's nothing more deflating than when your offense plays pretty much awful the whole game. They finally come up with the drive to give you a lead in a game that you have no business winning. Then you give up a big kick return to set up a game-winning field goal. I mean, that's, to me, if I was a player, I would be so upset at that I don't know that I would be able to recover from that, but that's just me.
Jeff is cutting in and out. And sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. There might be connectivity issues, but
You're okay. You froze on me there for a second, but now we're good.
yeah. I basically caught what you said there. Going through these last 7 games, Jeff, what are you looking for the rest of the season?
Well, I hate to beat a dead horse, but you're looking at your quarterback. J.J. McCarthy has got to play better, and he's got to play more consistent over these last 7 games, and that starts with, good luck against that front with the Green Bay Packers with Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary. You're talking about a group that has, I think they have a combined 15.5 sacks over the season so far. I looked it up today because Kevin O'Connell made a specific mention of those two at his press conference today. What a move by the Packers to bolster their defensive line after he was clearly unhappy with his contract situation in Dallas, and they made a move to go get him sort of there. Let's take our big swing and see if we can make a run with this guy. The concern there to me is that this offensive line that the Vikings have, even if it's fully healthy, I don't know that they're physical enough to contain a group like the Packers have. So I'm looking for JJ McCarthy to slowly get better each and every game, make good decisions, take what the defense gives you. There were too many times on Sunday where he either didn't hit an open receiver because he wanted to go a different read, or he just didn't make the right play at the right time. So you need him to learn from watching the tape and just progressively get a little bit better. I want the defense to consistently get themselves off the field. They did pretty well with that against the Chicago Bears, but they didn't finish the job. So I'm looking for some more pressure from the defense. I'm also looking for a few turnovers. It's not illegal to get a fumble recovery or an interception, even on the road at Lambeau Field. It's not illegal to do that. So we're talking about the crazy part about this team is that we're talking about Week 12, and this team has yet to have all 22 projected starters from training camp on the field at the same time. It's just wild to me. And I know injuries are no excuse, next man up, all that garbage. But that's just the reality of the situation. That's the reality of why the Vikings are 4-6, is because they just haven't been healthy all year. And so far this week, this is the closest they've been all season to being fully healthy. Jonathan Grenard, the outside linebacker, didn't practice today, but there's optimism he'll play. And then Will Fries didn't practice today with the knee, so we'll have to keep an eye on that tomorrow, because if he doesn't practice Thursday, that's going to be really tough for him to play Sunday. But there was no indication coming out of last week's game that he had an injury, so I don't know if that was just a rest day. A lot of veterans get rest days on Wednesday or Thursday, so that's something to watch. But I want to see what this team can be when it's fully healthy. It's weird to reserve judgment, after 10 games and being 4-6, but I just don't know what this team is until they're fully healthy.
Yeah. A couple more things, I'll get you out of here. Let's talk about the Gophers. Helter Skelter season. They're still sitting at 6 and what are they, 6-4? Yeah,
6-4. Yeah.
Bowl eligible. At Northwestern this weekend. Watch out, Minnesota. And then it's the little brown jug at the end of the year, correct? They play Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's the Axe. Paul
and Zach. Yeah.
Wrong rivalry, right idea.
2 winnable games. I know Wisconsin pulled off a minor upset a couple weeks ago. When they beat who they beat? I'm drawing a blank. They beat who did Wisconsin just beat?
They beat a ranked team.
I don't remember. Was it I'm drawing a blank.
I'll look it up for you real quick, because that's bugging me too.
Yeah. It wasn't USC. No, it wasn't USC.
They beat Washington at the time that they were ranked 23 or 20.
Yeah.
At the time, they were 23 or 20 around the country. Yeah, but it was a ranked win. For the
two winnable games. I mean, they could finish 8-4, but Minnesota standards, that's a good season.
Yeah, I mean it's the road to getting there has been curious. Losing at Cal in overtime was not a great look. Your biggest problem right now is you're a complete no-show when it comes to road games. I think they've been outscored like 156-42 or something like that in 4 road losses. Now, granted, those are to number 1 Ohio State, number 8 Oregon, and Iowa, who was in the 20s at the time. But that Iowa loss really sticks in my craw, just because you completely no-showed against a rival, and that's just unacceptable to me. You're barely 7 minutes into the game and it's 17-0. I mean, that's just that to me is the type of performance that could get a coach fired. But PJ Fleck's not going anywhere. Let's not even go down that road. Not happening unless another program comes and takes him away, which that's also not happening either. So let's just not even go there. You mentioned they have 2 games left. They got Northwestern at Wrigley Field, 11 a.m. kick Saturday. That's a team where if you are not ready to play, you will get beat. The biggest problem there is going to be field conditions, because you're talking about trying to play football on a baseball diamond with new grass. And I believe the forecast calls for some rain, or at least there's some rain during the week here. So they have to test out their cleats and make sure that, the fear there is you're going to have somebody tear an Achilles or get a serious injury because the grass isn't good. But if you can find a way to win that game, you get Wisconsin at home to close out the regular season, a chance to go 8-4, a chance to beat your rivals. PJ Fleck has had Wisconsin's number the last couple of years. And that program is in kind of a weird spot because you have Luke Fickell coming back for next year. A lot of, the diehard Wisconsin fans wanted him fired. I would be very careful about that, and I would be very careful about rooting for, fans trolling Wisconsin, wanting him back next year to continue their mediocrity. Luke Fickell is a really good football coach, and he just needs the right personnel to get that thing going again. Sorry, Luke, but the air raid offense isn't going to work at Wisconsin. You need to have your beefy, cow-loving farming offensive lineman and run the football. Worked there for 3 decades, so don't change it now. But yeah, like you said, to make a long story short, if PJ Fleck can find a way to win the last 2, go to 8-4, you'd finish 6-3 in the Big Ten. I know fans don't love the look of how some of the losses have been this year, but if you get to that number, you get to a pretty good bowl game. You're probably going to a warm weather climate for a bowl game. At this point, with the way the atmosphere is in college football, with the portal and with revenue sharing and with the money that's being thrown around, if you can win 8 games, that's a pretty damn good season in my mind. Especially with, Minnesota is never going to compete with the Ohio States, with the Michigans, with the Alabamas, with those programs in the world that can pay whatever they want to players to come play for them. It's just not going to happen. It's just not how the world works up here.
Before I let you go, since we're heading into the wintertime, since I'm still fat, I need a decent CrossFit a workout that I can do like week to week. Let's say it's the Monday and I'm going to go to the gym. What kind of CrossFit program should I do on a Monday? Give me a little CrossFit circuit training program.
I would do anything really cardio based. Depends on what your skill level is. And for that, I would recommend that you drop into an affiliate and talk to a coach and tell them what your weaknesses and strengths are, and they can sort of mold something off that. But for a beginner, I would highly recommend either, hopping on a bike or a rower, doing some sort of interval of either calories or meters rowed. Do like a 20-minute interval of, 250-meter row, then do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, do some air squats, get those knees going, get that blood flowing, keep it simple. Don't do anything that'll kill yourself. Because regardless of what you do, if you don't do it often enough, you're going to be sore the next day. But do something, low reps and something that's, a lot of sets. So like maybe even like a 10 rounds of, 5 push-ups, 10 squats, 20 sit-ups, do 250 meters in the rower, do 5 or 10 rounds of that. You'd be amazed at how much sweat you'll build up over the course of 15 to 20 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Jeff WALD, into the program again up there at Fox Sports. Jeff, enjoy the rest of the football season, and you and your family have a happy Thanksgiving, sir.
Right back at you. Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy some time off, and don't be a stranger.
All right, sir. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you.
That's Jeff. Thanks for joining. Good friend of the show, Armative, when it comes to Minnesota sports. It's too early to get hockey and basketball stuff like that. We're still, this country is still in football mode. So, with all that being said, practice compassion, practice empathy, have passion for what you do. Hug somebody every once in a while. You might make a date. Tell somebody you love them. You might not get a second opportunity. For God's sakes, if you see somebody struggling, inquire about what you need to get them help, or what help are they seeking. I'm going to be jumping over on here on the Cole County Entertainment Network, Fuji Philly Flair. I'll be behind the scenes producing. There's only one thing left to do. Dandy Don, take me out.
Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night, the party's over. And tomorrow and next year starts the same old thing again.